Welcome to day 71. It's Saturday and winter. We have a winter wonderland again. And I think it's going to be warm again tomorrow. So all of this will be gone. And I wasn't sure if there was going to be ice on the road. So I decided to stay safe and stay home. But we still have a beautiful sunrise. There's the golf course over there. So, oh man. Today was a challenging one to find that sort of common thread or theme that we can really take and apply as we grow and strive to be our best selves and have character. And it was, so I'm in 2nd Chronicles still, and so I've read about King Jehoshaphat today, and then his sons, the roller coaster. We've got the roller coaster of people, like the good king, the bad king, doing good, doing evil. We've got the whole gamut covered again today with the various kings. But the theme of the willingness to step up and maybe act in a way or speak up when maybe you're going against the popular opinion or the whatever is doing something that might get you in trouble or might not, it takes some courage. There's a willingness to step up, and that needs to happen sometimes when it's the right thing to do, even though you might be a lone voice or a lone character in the situation, and doing it anyway. And with Jehoshaphat, he is at war, and it just seems impossible. He's doing the right thing. He's going to the Lord and saying, Lord, how is this going to happen? And there is a young prophet. No, I don't even think he's a prophet. It just said the Spirit came upon a man. And I'm not going to remember all the names. But in the midst of that, he said, and then he is willing to speak up in that whole crowd of people. And he says, look, the Lord is telling me right now, we've got this. This isn't our battle, it's God's battle. So Jehoshaphat was very, reassured by this voice. And he then took that and went to the people. It gave him courage. It really helped reassure his own willingness. And so he kind of borrowed some courage from this man who was willing to speak up. And they did something kind of unusual. He employed singers to be on the front line, and they went into battle just singing praises. And the prophecy was fulfilled. They didn't even have to fight. So that was a pretty cool story. They got on the scene of the battle, singing all along the way, ready, God, we know you've got this. And then they got there, and the two armies turned on each other and killed each other. And they just arrived to a scene with everybody already being defeated. And then they got to just plunder. So that was the willingness theme that showed up in that little nugget of a story with Jehoshaphat. And then fast forward to, we've got his son was not a good king. And he was killed. And he even killed all his brothers. It was awful. And his mother, the next king, and I want to say it was, I'm going to butcher these names. There were so many names this morning to keep track of. And I was really focusing on the supporting characters that were willing to step up. And so we have this young baby that's born. One of the king that was his father, Jehoram. Anyway, his mother was out for revenge. She was not happy her son got killed, and she kind of went nuts with revenge. That's good love gone bad. And she even starts killing everybody in that family. Like, if my son can't live, nobody's going to live. And probably kind of blamed it on the kingdom and the family. And so she decided to start taking everybody out. And then there was a very courageous woman willing to step up, a couple, and who was the sister of the dead king. That's the name, Azahiah. Sorry. That is the king who was killed, and his mother, Athaliah, is the one that kind of went nuts and started killing everybody. And she actually became queen for a while. And so she even had the authority to kill people. And Jerasheba, the sister of the Azahiah, the king who was killed, had a willingness to step up. And she saw what was happening. God had promised that David's line, that eventually, who we know as Jesus, will come from David's line. And so even though all of these kings, a couple of these kings were bad, God said, we've got to preserve this line, because I'm going to redeem this line of people through David's family. And so there was a young baby, Joash, who was born as Ahaziah's son, and Jerasheba, and her husband, the priest, Jehoiada, sorry. These names are complicated for me. Jehoiada, they take the baby and hide him away so that he can one day be king. And they raise him. They successfully hide him. And then Jehoiada really is also willing. So just willingness to step up and do the right thing, even though it's hard, even though it might be unpopular, even though it might get them killed, at great peril and danger to themselves, they do the right thing. And they raise this young boy who's going to be king, and his name is Joash. And Jehoiada also gathers a contingency of leaders, and they sort of make a secret plot and plan to make Jehoiada king and get rid of Athaliah. And then they get this done. It's accomplished. And when Joash is 7 years old, they put their plan into action, and Athaliah is killed. And then, there's one of my lovely neighbors who's running by. She's brave to run in this cold. So Jehoiada and had the willingness, and his wife, Jerasheba, to kidnap this young boy and raise him in secret so that he could become king. And so God's plan could be carried out, and the line of David survives through this boy. And Jehoiada is a great counselor. Of course, he raises him as his own. He's probably Joash's father figure, and he counsels him his whole life, and a lot of good things are done through Joash's reign because Jehoiada was counseling him, and Joash was smart enough to listen to it. Because we will see, as soon as Jehoiada dies, he lived to 130. Joash then proceeds to kind of forget everything that he was counseled to do and goes off on his own. And then we go back down the roller coaster hill to the king's not doing right. But because of the willingness of a few people in these stories to step up, who weren't in positions of great power or authority, or even if they were, through, being unpopular, maybe even putting themselves in danger, they did what was right. They were willing to act even in the face of, something happening to them negatively. They were willing to take the risk, and they were willing to step up, even when it maybe didn't make sense, or when they were like, well, who me? You want me to do this? And there were a couple of actually more stories like that in there, but I wanted to focus on these couple so that hopefully you could be encouraged that when you've got that little voice inside of you telling you to do something, if you've prayed about it or whatever your belief system is, that you just know the right thing to do. And then you've got to really have that willingness, like tap into that willingness to have the courage to do it anyway. And then who knows, you might be the one that helps somebody else in your family or your situation turn the tide, have a breakthrough, because you were willing to play your role and step up. All right, that's my message on this really chilly day. In this beautiful sunrise, though, as always. So go have a great day and tap into your own willingness to step up. All right, bye.